Welcome to Combat Recapped. Here's the latest update of Sean O'Malley as the year 2022 comes to a close and as he looks towards 2023. Sean O'Malley is one of the most popular and exciting fighters on the UFC roster. His unorthodox style, all-action approach, and impenetrable confidence have made him a huge star since breaking onto the scene on Dana White's Contender Series 4 years ago. The UFC bantamweight star Sean O'Malley credited music icon Snoop Dogg for aiding in his developing stardom and success in mixed martial arts. Currently, O'Malley sits at the top in the UFC's 135-pound rankings, a spot he secured with a win streak that includes 3 knockout wins, 4 bonuses, and a victory over the division's former champion, Petr Yan. Now, Sean "Sugar" O'Malley is expecting to continue his path to a level of stardom he's long predicted for himself by challenging for the bantamweight title in 2023. While his journey to the top is almost complete, O'Malley only announced his arrival on the sport's biggest stage in 2017, when he appeared in Season 1 of Dana White's Contenders series. In addition to his impressive performance, O'Malley's entrance was aided by the role of a certain prominent rapper. Forming a unique collaboration, the UFC and Snoop Dogg came together to put on Snoopcast for the opening series of Dana White's Contender Series, the promotion's talent-finding show. In perhaps the most notable moment of not just the rapper's UFC commentary cameo, but DWCS as a whole, O'Malley secured his path into the octagon with a memorable first-round knockout against Alfred Kashakian. The introduction of the Sugar Show was a success, with the crazed reaction of Snoop Dogg, which saw him repeatedly shout "O'Malley" alongside Uriah Faber, sending O'Malley's KO viral. During a recent appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, O'Malley and UFC color commentator Joe Rogan recalled the Montana native's contract-winning performance and the hype that followed. O'Malley pointed to Snoop Dogg's reaction and subsequent social media posts as massive for his career. "Yeah, that's crazy. It's so crazy looking at my career, how things have played out so perfect," O'Malley said. The fact Snoop Dogg was there, that was the first time that I started getting busy on social media and started to understand, okay, this is going to be a part of my career and my life moving forward. And he would post me and repost me. Then I started getting followers from Snoop posting me. Yeah, that was freaking insane. That was massive for my career, having Snoop Dogg. That season, they had Snoop and Uriah doing the Snoopcast. It was so massive, O'Malley added. O'Malley's stardom and career have been on an upward trajectory ever since. Though a loss to Marlon Vera in 2020 temporarily halted his rise, Sugar has since racked up the KOs and risen to the top of the bantamweight rankings. Yeah, what a wonderful way for O'Malley to pay Snoop back. We bet you didn't know Sean O'Malley weighed in on a rumored UFC bantamweight title fight between Aljamain Sterling and Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo will make his comeback against Aljamain Sterling for the UFC bantamweight title in 2023, according to Ali Abdelaziz, president and founder of Dominance MMA. It is true that the two fighters recently squared off at the 2022 Professional Fighter League Championships in New York City, fueling speculation that a fight could happen. Since his May 2020 TKO victory over Dominic Cruz, the 35-year-old Cejudo hasn't competed in the octagon. Sterling's most recent victory came at UFC 280 against TJ Dillashaw. Moving on, Sean O'Malley is one of many people who are skeptical of Dana White's new Power Slap League. Aside from his next steps in the UFC bantamweight ranks, the current #1 contender in the promotion's official rankings spoke with White about White's latest project. Slap fighting was recently approved by the Nevada Athletic Commission, paving the way for White and the company's upcoming 8-episode Power Slap League season. It's as straightforward as a sport can get. Victory is achieved by slapping the opposing player. Despite the lack of complexities in comparison to MMA, White claims defense and technique are involved. Finally, the UFC frontman has the same amount of faith in this new venture as he does in the sport that has brought him to this point. Many MMA fans have been put off by health and safety concerns since the sport's inception in the United States. Every combat fan enjoys a good knockout, but how it's scored is half the fun, if not the whole thing. Even for O'Malley, a consistent knockout artist, slap fighting isn't his cup of tea. Using a common phrase, White appears to believe that if you don't like it, you're free to leave. In a fight where a win could have earned him the next bantamweight title shot, Sean O'Malley defeated Petr Yan at UFC 280, but not without controversy. The Sugar Show continues with Sean O'Malley's biggest win of his career, albeit not without controversy. O'Malley defeated Yan in a close split decision in a featured bantamweight bout at UFC 280, which seemed to irritate some fans. Yan looked to put pressure on O'Malley from the start, pushing and pressing forward, while O'Malley used his footwork to create striking opportunities. Yan attempted a takedown halfway through the first frame, but O'Malley fought him off. However, Yan was able to press O'Malley against the cage and score a double leg about a minute later. O'Malley did, however, score a sneaky and quick takedown before the horn. O'Malley stunned Yan with a right hand early in the second, forcing Yan to retreat, but Yan quickly recovered and landed his massive right on O'Malley, followed by a takedown. O'Malley rose to his feet, but only after Yan exerted complete dominance over him. Yan scored another double leg against the cage in the final minute of the round. Yan appeared to be the fresher fighter entering the final round, and he appeared to be on his way to victory until O'Malley busted him open above his right eye with a knee. Yan landed a hard hook, but O'Malley countered with a high kick. Yan then used his grappling in the final few minutes to limit O'Malley's offensive work, allowing him to make it to the final horn. The fight was scored 29-28 by all three judges, but two of them awarded the fight to O'Malley, giving him the split decision victory. Looking back at O'Malley's previous fights, he fought 3 times in 2020 and 3 times in 2021. If he maintains his current level of activity, the popular bantamweight could be fighting for a title soon. Sean O'Malley, who was unranked in the bantamweight division until 2021, has taken his time in the ring. The American has stated on numerous occasions that he is content to fight unranked opponents because of the amount of money he has paid per fight, and that he will fight higher caliber opponents if he's paid more. He has gone 5-1 at 135 pounds since his return from suspension in March 2020. O'Malley finally made it into the rankings after defeating Raulian Paiva at UFC 269. His outstanding performance against Paiva prompted UFC President Dana White to say the following at the post-fight conference. When you talk to Sean O'Malley, 2 things. He wants to get paid, and he wants to fight higher-level competition. It looks like we're going to have to pay him. In his first 3 UFC fights, he received 3 Performance of the Night bonuses, with TKO victories over Victor Rodriguez, Gustavo Lopez, and Randy Costa. He established a reputation as a tough fighter with crisp striking. Adrian Yanez and Sean O'Malley's stylistic clash will undoubtedly produce fireworks. Both fighters are strong and precise fighters. Yanez prefers to push the pace and walk his opponents down, whereas O'Malley is renowned for his ability to inflict damage while moving backward. O'Malley and Paiva sparred on social media before their fight at UFC 269. Most recently, during an episode of the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, Raulian Paiva was defeated by Sean O'Malley at UFC 269, who finished him off in the opening frame. Before taking on top-tier contenders in the division, he will be looking to add to his highlight reel because he only has 2 fights left on his current UFC contract. The UFC matchmakers have purposefully placed Sean O'Malley against advantageous stylistic opponents since they became aware of his star power. Some of the sport's best strikers, including Conor McGregor and Israel Adesanya, have praised O'Malley's striking ability. Marlon Moraes fights from the standing position and rarely attempts takedowns. He even defeated current UFC bantamweight Aljamain Sterling. Moraes' fighting style makes him an ideal opponent for Sean O'Malley, who is attempting to break into the top 10 at 135 pounds. Furthermore, the Brazilian has been on a tear recently, suffering KO and TKO losses to Corey Sandhagen, Rob Font, and Merab Dvalishvili. A knockout victory over a former title contender positions Sean O'Malley for another major fight in the bantamweight division. A victory over an experienced and well-known fighter such as Marlon Moraes could boost his popularity even more. We think the next 3 could be great potential matchups. Number 3, Sean O'Malley and Pedro Munhoz. Sean O'Malley matches up well against both Marlon Moraes and Pedro Munhoz, 2 more strikers. A fight between Munhoz and O'Malley, however, might also be advantageous for the latter by altering a persistent story about him. The impact of calf kicks is a recurring theme in every fight Sean O'Malley engages in. No other single technique in the history of MMA has dominated the sport like the calf kick, which nearly all fighters are actively learning how to throw and defend. At UFC 252, Marlon Vera defeated Sean O'Malley, and during the fight, Vera kicked O'Malley in the calf, striking the infamous peroneal nerve. The medical condition known as foot drop, which prevents an athlete from putting weight on the leg that was hit, is frequently brought on by direct impact on the nerve. In MMA's history, it has only happened a few times. During the opening round of their fight, O'Malley's right leg gave out, allowing Vera to finish the contest against a one-legged opponent. Sean O'Malley has expressed his annoyance with the UFC commentary team regarding the ongoing discussion about his capacity to block calf kicks. In the UFC, Pedro Munoz is renowned for being among the best calf kickers. His fight with Jimmy Rivera is a prime illustration of how crippling the kick is. The calf kick would undoubtedly be his most effective move against Sean O'Malley. While this is going on, O'Malley might want to make a point and put an end to the naysayers who constantly complain about his apparent vulnerability to the tactic. In addition, Munoz is ranked number 10 in the bantamweight division, making him Sean O'Malley's ideal opponent as he attempts to advance to 135 pounds. Number 2. Sean O'Malley vs. Marlon Vera. Sean O'Malley is certain that he will run into Marlon Vera once more. Even though the veracity of his victory is in question, Vera is still the only combatant to have defeated O'Malley. In the co-main event of UFC 252 at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Sean O'Malley faced Marlon Vera. As previously mentioned, O'Malley suffered a rare occurrence in the octagon when Vera's leg kicks in the opening round struck the peroneal nerve in his calf and caused the drop foot phenomenon. Following O'Malley's transformation into a one-legged fighter, Vera defeated him. The injury was undoubtedly caused by Vera's strikes, and he deserves all the credit, yet the debate over which fighter is more skilled continues. Before the injury, O'Malley was considerably faster than Vera in their striking exchanges, so there is only one way to determine who is more skilled. Additionally, there is genuine hostility between Sean O'Malley and Marlon Vera as a result of the contentious nature of the outcome of their first match. It has been simmering for a while. It's interesting to note that since the feud began, their respective careers have taken totally different paths. Sean O'Malley is on the verge of breaking through as one of the sport's biggest stars. O'Malley is expected to have a huge couple of years ahead of him after finally cracking the rankings with his victory over Raulian Paiva at UFC 269. He has not yet reached his peak at age 27 and has suffered little harm. While Cody Garbrandt was the undisputed UFC bantamweight champion in 2016, he is now an unranked fighter in 2021. His most recent attempt to revive his career severely backfired when he dropped to the flyweight division and was defeated by Kai Kara-France in the opening round. O'Malley has always maintained that he has nothing personal against the former champion, while Garbrandt has criticized the way the latter has approached his career. He merely thinks that from a stylistic standpoint, the fans would enjoy the matchup. Cody Garbrandt needs something important to fight for badly. The only major matchup he has left is his rivalry with Sean O'Malley. In O'Malley's opinion, defeating a former champion who is also a well-known figure could catapult him into stardom. O'Malley will have no problem challenging Garbrandt in a grudge match because he is not eager to advance in the bantamweight rankings. What about the matching of styles? Undoubtedly, someone will be knocked out. Did you enjoy Snoop Dogg's unique commentary on Sean O'Malley's contract-winning performance on Dana White's Contender Series? Would you like to see another title fight inside the octagon between Henry Cejudo and Aljamain Sterling? Who do you think will win the championship? Leave a comment down below. Be sure to subscribe to Combat Recap and hit the notification bell to be notified of future videos. Thank you for watching.